All right, we're back, market heroes, and have a really fun one for you. So we just went through a whole lesson about iron condors, which again is selling a call spread and selling a put spread at the exact same time, collecting your credit. We profit from not a lot of price movement, from prices falling in between our break evens, and also reduction of implied volatility, right? And as we know, we can't make as much money with a normal iron condor as we can with, say, a strangle or a straddle, but it's still a profitable strategy because we're selling options that at the same time, iron condors are defined risks, so anyone can do them, and they also afford us the opportunity to have higher return on capital for doing so. But I want to introduce you today to my favorite trade, a heavy iron condor. So again, this is going to be an example of a strategy that can be done by anyone in any type of account. It's just going to get us a lot closer to the profitability of a strangle or a straddle than a normal iron condor, and at the same time, it will not reduce our risk. However, it can't be done every single day like a normal, let's say 35 delta or a 40 delta, 20 delta iron condor. So let's check it out. So again, iron condor is selling a call spread and a put spread at the same time. You know the drill. But to make an iron condor a heavy iron condor, right? We're looking to sell as many call spreads as we can to not increase the amount of credit we receive, but not increase our capital requirements, right? But to not increase our capital requirements. So we'll show everyone what it is for a second. So from 2003 to present, 14 and a half plus years of data, depending on when you're watching this, right? So in SPY, every single day, we sold the 30 delta strangle and purchased the 5 delta call and put on each side to create an iron condor. So this is a 30 delta, 5 delta iron condor. It's a little bit dynamic in the sense that the distance between the 30 delta put and the 5 delta put is going to be a lot further and a lot larger than the distance between the 30 delta call and the 5 delta call. So what makes this a heavy iron condor is we attempted to sell as many call spreads as we can within this heavy iron condor as to collect more credit, but to not increase the amount of capital required, right? So we did this in the monthly expiration cycle closest to 50 days from expiration, and we bought back our heavy iron condors at 50% of the credit we received. So how the hell do we do a heavy iron condor? Well, let's compare a normal iron condor, right? So it's a 30 delta and 5 delta, right? So what we want to do is we want to sell the 30 delta call and buy the 5 delta call, right? This is a 5 delta or 30 delta 5 delta call spread. And on the same token, we want to sell the 30 delta put and go ahead and buy the 5 delta put, right? So what we see in this example is we collect 253, our max loss is 1847, right? Now, what's important to note is the distance between the call spread, the short 250 call and the 255 call, is $5. However, the distance between the 241 and the 220 put is $21, right? So what you see here is you have the 250, 255 call spread, 241, 221 put spread. You collect $253. Your max loss is 1847, and your max return on capital is 13.70%. Now that's good. However, to make an iron condor a heavy iron condor, we're trying to sell as many call spreads as we can to take advantage of the volatility skew in SPY to do so. So when I look at this, I say, okay, the call spread is $5 wide. The put spread is $21 wide. All right, so my margin requirement is going to be based off of this $21 distance. So it's going to be the $21 distance minus the credit, right? So I can put 4 $5 wide call spreads in this for every one $21 put spread. And that won't increase our margin requirements. It will actually increase the amount of credit we receive, but at the same time, it will actually reduce the amount we can lose and reduce our margin requirements. So let's look at it this way. So as we know, we can sell the 250 call and the 255. We'll buy the 255 call, and we can do that 4 times. And at the same time, we can sell the 230 the 30 put, and go ahead and buy the 5 delta put. There you go. So now we're looking at two trades that have the same margin requirements for the most part. Actually, the second one's going to be less, but we're collecting over 2 times as much money for doing so. So when I look at this strategy, remember, our short strikes are exactly the same. Our short strikes in this are exactly the same, right? 238.47 is our break even to the downside, and 252.53 is our break even to the upside, right? Now, if we go look at our heavy iron condor, right, we can make more money, we can lose less, and our break evens are even further. They're about $2.50 further. So that's how you do a heavy iron condor, right? Not bad. Pretty good, right? Again, we can fit 5 of these into one of these. So this not only gives us a higher upside, but it also reduces our margin requirement. So it takes our max return on capital from 13% to 33% and gives us more chances of making money. Why does it give us more chances of making money? Because we have increased our credits, which means our break evens are larger. The more money we collect, the higher our chances of making money, right? Now, throughout this trade, which again was 14 and a half years of data every single day, we were able to, interestingly enough, get in more than one call spread a majority of the time, which is really, really cool. So this happens a lot. This actually happens most of the time, which is like really, really awesome. This happens about 60% of the time. You can get in more than one call spread, which is like really, really cool. This is really, really cool. So 60% of the time you can execute this strategy. Now, it's an incredibly profitable strategy that is not as good as a straddle in terms of profitability, but it's better than a strangle in terms of profitability. It's a little bit worse than a skinny iron condor in terms of return on capital, but it's really in your sweet spot. So it makes almost as much money as a straddle and gives you almost the same return on capital as a tight iron condor, right? As you can see, we take, just by adding as many call spreads as possible, which again increases the amount of credit we received, widens out our break evens, and improves our chances of making money, right? Just by doing that and reducing our risks, we take the win percentage from 78% to 90%, right? We take our days in the trade, because we're managing at 50%, from 32 days to 27 days, because we've collected more money. And at the same time, we make, instead of $1.50 per day, we make about 3 times more, or $5.52 per day. So that's a really, really good big improvement for doing nothing other than collecting more money and reducing your risk. Not bad. So let's take it a step further. So now we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to do the exact same study, right? Again, where we're trying to sell as many call spreads as we can within the put spread to not increase our capital requirements, right? So we're going to do that. We're going to do it in the monthly expiration cycle close to 50 days away. We're going to buy them back for 50% credit. And then we're going to do it in periods of high volatility. Why do we do it in periods of high volatility? Well, because options are extra overpriced in periods of high volatility. Here are the results. So you can see that doing it in periods of high volatility really significantly outperform what it is when it's normal time. So if we just do it, willy-nilly, that's still a pretty good strategy right here. But if we try to cram in as many call spreads as we can for a put spread, this looks like the type of money we make with the straddle. Remember, a straddle is the highest risk trade because you make the most amount of money, right? So with the straddle, you collect the most amount of money. Your break evens are really wide for what you have. You're selling options that are closest to the money, so the theta decay is the highest. But here, now you're getting the most of best worlds. A straddle doesn't do a lot better than 662 a day, which is what happens when you sell this heavy iron condor in periods of high volatility and manage it at 50%. This is pretty much, if I removed any of this and you didn't know that this was a heavy iron condor, you would think this is a straddle. But again, the coolest thing about a heavy iron condor, as you guys have seen here, is this can be done in any account. The max loss is completely defined ahead of time, and it's really, really amazing. So again, guys, this is really, really cool. About 60% of the time, if you're looking to sell iron condors, guys, you should be selling a heavy iron condor. Why should you be selling a heavy iron condor? Because the profitability goes way up. It goes way up because we increased the credit we received, we increased our chances of making money, and we also at the same time have defined our risk on order entry. So this is a real winner. If you're ever interested in iron condors, you should absolutely be throwing on the double iron condor whenever you can. If you're trying to set up this 30 delta, 5 delta iron condor, you should be trying to see how many call spreads you can get in there. So I'll see you guys on the next video.